This is Dave McIsaac, and you're listening to the Sheriff Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to an exclusive episode of The Sheriff. Guys, today I am blessed to have one of my really good buddies with me today. Now, saying that, we have not spoken a while, but ladies and gentlemen, that is one thing that this show does for me. It brings me back together with my good old friends. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of us know somebody who has played professional hockey. A common pattern that we do see is guys play for a little bit too long, and then when they're done playing, they find themselves a little bit behind on life. My guest tonight retired from pro hockey to become an academic heavyweight, youth mentor, and instructor. He is way ahead on life, and he is a role model for thousands across the globe, and he is my good friend. Without further ado, Jason Bone. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Hey man, I felt like you took me back in time there to those 11 years, 6 months, and 12 days ago when we last met in Finland, and that was the time there where I was thinking if I have a good showing over here, we'll see what I can do back home. Maybe I'll do some boxing, MMA, but life had other plans.
Well, Jay, I'll tell you what, dude. There's so many reasons why I'm excited to have you on, brother. And one reason is I was blessed to have a decently long career, right? And over my career, Jay, I met so many players. But I'm telling you, when I met you, it was a special thing. You got a glow about you, bro. You're kind to everybody that you meet. You're tough as nails, and everybody respects you. And I really, really appreciated how kind you were to me when we did go over to Finland. I'll never forget that type of camaraderie. We were 8 guys that were across the world that agreed to be in combat, and we were a brotherhood. We all went out the night before. We all went out the night after. It was so cool to me. Anybody in that tournament could have beat anybody, maybe other than that one little amateur Finnish guy that they had in there, right? But any of us could have beat anyone. For me, it was about the experience. It was about being flown somewhere to do a tournament like that. How was it for you, just the experience part? Have you ever been to Finland before? How was that for you, Jay?
Mm-hmm. That was actually my second time in Finland. At that point, I had gone there. I had gone there years before with the father of one of your past guests there, Brandon Nolan, Ted Nolan, with the Team Indigenous hockey team. I had gone over there years back, and so I'd seen it there before. But still, I remember as we got there and we landed. One of the things that I felt was I felt a little time change, but I ran to a friend, Sammy, that I knew back home here in Quebec. Met him in Quebec, and I had met him initially at that tournament years back, and it's funny to cross paths with him there, and then again there, and we always joke about Patrick Laney now today. My good friend there, and but we ran into I ran into Finland there second time round, and I seen him, and he'd offered me, hey man, you want to have a little puff, take the edge off and relax. You look a little jittery, he said to me, and I'm like, no man, no. And I stayed focused, that leading up to that tournament, there were some things in my preparation that I didn't do. I ended up with some stitches on my arm that summer. But that was one of those. When I look back on it now, it was just stupid stuff, self-sabotaging behaviors in that point in my life of I don't know, I suppose looking for reason not to go, perhaps. I went and made the commitment, and but I didn't have the support of my family. Didn't even tell them, and went over there and thought, well, pull a rabbit out of my hat over here. But I remember when we got there, got the draw, and shit, man, I had this idea in my head, and I had to get through you, and then I had to get through Parker to get to the final. And I thought, if I can make it to the final, I can. And I had trained with Parker in our gym in Winnipeg, and in the boxing gym. I was slipping, moving, catching them, but it's a whole other thing on the ice and under the lights. And you know what? I gotta say that when I think back to that night, that was one of that was a very cool night, for a lot of reasons, like you were saying with that fight with you and Parker. That was an awesome fucking fight, man. And the whole experience. And you know what I should have done? I was mad at myself later that I should have stayed in the loop and fought after, like I had the first time in Prince George when I came back later and was trying to work my way back into there when I fought my friend Jamie Linos that time. It ended up being a good fight first time around. But I joke around back home all the time. I call myself Pro Hockey's double champ, short for double B-side runner-up.
Hey, listen, Jay, you got to give yourself some credit, my man, because first of all, there was different components to the players that went to that Finland tournament that me and you went to. And I'll give you a good example. For example, myself, I was under contract with the Dundee Stars. I was in season shape. I was fighting guys like Alex Penner and Kevin Bergen and all these guys in the UK every weekend, being seasoned, looking forward to this tournament. So a guy like myself was in a lot better situation to go into a tournament like that than a guy that wasn't playing, that may have been training, but it's not the same. When we were playing in the LNAH, fighting every weekend, Jason, that's not the same as the other tough guys in the American, pro leagues fighting every second or third weekend, right? It's totally different, right? Oh, yeah. So you got to keep that in mind. The tournament was during the season. I would say there was about half the guys were still playing, half the guys weren't. It was a combination. It was the second time in his existence. You went to the first one ever, like you just mentioned. But what I really want to talk to you about is, have you heard about the one that's coming up, Ice Wars in Edmonton? That's going to be in May.
I tried to drop the hint to my dad. I said, I want just maybe one match against somebody, a special attraction boat.
Well, here, Jay, let me fill you in a little bit, because I'm actually part of the group that is going to be doing it, right? So Charlie Nama, he's the president, CEO. AJ Galante, the Danbury Trashers former GM, that the Netflix trending guy, he's involved. His father. There's a bunch of us that are involved in it. Now, trust me, Jay, I will not be fighting in this tournament. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to host the tournament. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. As a guy that's been in a tournament that's like this, I know what the players are thinking. I know what their opponents are thinking. You know what I'm saying? So I think I would be a great host, and I want to be a part of it as well, right? And I like Charlie and AJ and those guys, right? Now, that idea that you just shot out, for there to be maybe some exhibition fights of former players, I like that, Jay. We may have something. We may have something there, bro. I'll put that seed over to AJ and Charlie and those guys, and we'll see maybe something could come about. The two guys will both have to agree, of course.
Maybe Curtis Swanson has the weekend off that weekend, and
there you go. We could have two warriors from Ice Warriors participating in an exhibition friendly match in the Ice.
Yeah, good old cowboy versus Indian matchup. You can't go wrong. Tell that to the promoter, AJ.
There you go, buddy. Hey, AJ will be listening to this episode for sure. I'm gonna be telling him that we discussed some ice wars, right? So now, okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, no, I just joking around. But jiu-jitsu though, I'm taking serious. Like I got my black belt now. I'm heavy, but it's on the it's on. There's some grapple games going on now, and years back we had a super fight. I guess at one of those jiu-jitsu tournaments. I had my team out there. I had my jiu-jitsu club out there, and one of the local fighters here in Winnipeg. He's a legend. He's one of my favorite fighters too, Joe El Dirty Dirksen. He's got
Okay.
like 63 fights. And anyways, I was a fan of his too, but he's a black belt. He's 1 or 2 years older than me. He's one of the first black belts in the city. And so I had a match with him. And so it's on YouTube. It was about 5-6 minutes until he caught me with a more advanced choke in a scramble. And so I got the W on me on that one. But I've been wanting to get back into it. There's several black belts around the city that are really good and are out there competing that I see them doing, and I want to get on board with them too. So
Yeah, dude. No, hey, man, that's really exciting stuff. And one thing, Jay, is the thing that I like about like the fellow warriors, like my buddies that were tough guys and that, have been in the octagon, have been in the squared circle, like yourself, is the happiness that I see. I see your face just glow up, man, when you talk about combat. And I know that you're a competitor. I know that you love the battle, and it pumps me up, bro, to see you talking about it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to point that out.
it's fun to have the fight stories, and then even at work, we just joke about it at work. Like it becomes an activity because I work at Manitoba First Nation Education Resource Center now, and so we're in developing resources for schools and with COVID online stuff, and
Yeah.
but talking trash in Ojibwe, like me noonday, me gazo, Ashagega, Edmonton, Minowa. I want to fight in Edmonton again. Like that's what I'd be saying. And but those like I'm just joking. Those days are over. I have a job now, and but no, I like your angle there to go for the host, and you make a great addition to it. I'm sure they'll bring you in some capacity there, and you can do the on after the fight interviews or something like that.
Yeah.
Something will pop up, and they should create that little space there for you because if you remember, like the production of it was pretty neat over there in Finland. I was thrown off by the fire that came out.
Remember that?
Yeah, I didn't like going first. I didn't like my grievance with it now, but you can't have no you can't have no perfect. Like,
I know.
Those are but yeah, no, the jiu-jitsu now. Well, I just want to get back on the mat and get my kids doing it and see them competing and see my wife was doing pretty well. She almost got to a blue belt and
Wow.
so she's a good white belt in tournaments. So but you do that with her because she works downtown and she has to walk late at night for work and stuff like that. So you want to make we always worry about her parking spot and that. So yeah, that's another thing. I've been married now going on 11 years. It'll be this July.
Congratulations, my friend.
Yeah, and my wife's a nurse, and we have
Wow.
2 kids. Yeah, and we live in Winnipeg, and we have a backyard rink, and Grandpa lives close by. My reserve. What's it called again, there, my friend?
Aadisookewin.
You got her.
Aadisookewin.
It's 3 hours from here, but I drive around the perimeter of the city, and it takes about an hour. So I live in Riding Mountain back home here, and we have property there that I grew up on, and I still we almost moved back home to work in school and nurse, and the kids to have some animals and play in rural areas. And COVID came along shortly after that, and we just decided for my dad to be close to the city. And yeah, that's been my that's to tell you the truth. Thank you for saying kind words there earlier about making something of yourself after. You know what?
Oh yeah.
Well, I owe it all to my dad, to tell the truth. You know, like I got a good he's got ever since I've been at hockey. His his mindset was for myself to get educated, and to that's what you use hockey for. And then of course fighting came along, and you know how it takes its own life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what, in Quebec, you know, thinking back to it, that was about a point in my life where I was really going to try to make myself into a multi-sport pro in Quebec, and I was on track. You know, like I started boxing in 21 ish, but I had taken boxing in the summers for hockey for years. So then I had almost dabbled into it professionally, but I thought, you know, I'll have a few more fights, and so I was into the amateur boxing for years, and and I wanted to do some lacrosse, wanted to do some MMA, and I thought, you know what, and I'll go to school at McGill, and I did. I started going to university there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
When you played for Verdun?
For Verdun, yeah. And at that point, I was playing. I played 2 years in New York, upstate New York. That was the closest team to the states there, and they would come down. They'd be there watching, and that's when I was in my heydays, I guess, 21, 22 in the UHL, when they had Legault and Wingfield in Elmira, and Murphy and Robinson and all these other guys that can big crew there. What's that other guy's name? They also had Charlie Elias.
Was Big Mac there, McIntyre?
No, I ran into him in Muskegon the first year, and we had two fights first game we played, and I still remember my buddy John Batten. Do you know him? Yeah.
I know of him.
Yeah, Batten was. I thought the big man was going down. I was on the roll that night. I was throwing overhands, and he was, but you know, Big Mac's tough, and he ended up getting a hold of me, and he fell down at the end. But we rematched again at the end of the game for the fans because everybody loved him out there, and he wasn't getting much action. And I was. Those are the years you walk in, you kick down the front door when you go to town.
Yeah.
those years, but yeah, and I remember. Yeah, I had some, like, I really wanted to make it as a pro fighter, but it was a Dean Mayran right hand was the first time I ever got buckled and knocked out, and at that time I had torn my labrum in my shoulder, and then that began to escalate every year, get worse and worse. And I did the math one time. I ended up doing 100 and some fights with a bad shoulder, which compromises all kinds of things. You know?
Yes.
And then all the headshots that I took, and then I had no idea I was losing my durability, and my longevity was just for my loyalty to finish a damn hockey season. I should have took the step back, waited a year to get the operation done, and then go at it again. But what did I go and do? I fought 3 weeks again after that. Started get back on the horse. I started doing some boxing that summer too. I fought Rene Perreault, who was one of the Quebec champs at that time. He was a fast karate guy, but I caught him at the end of the third in Quebec.
Yeah.
And he went down. He
No way.
and I jumped on him and just ran out of time. So we rematched, and then he outclassed me. I couldn't even hit him. I was throwing everything. Those were entertaining fights, man. Jacques Dubé was on the main event, and he was fighting Mayran and Ontario. And I remember that's where I first met Mike Bro. And my bro was just staring me down at lunch, trying to get in my head for the next time because I was looking for opponents, man. He's fucking just eating his food, just staring me down, trying to get in my head. It was in my head. Oh, gotta go to the bathroom, baby. Go. My sister's here, but my daughter's.
That's okay.
Bathroom, yeah. And yeah, I remember those boxing shows were fun. I had one in Quebec. I had one down in Akwesasne. I had a couple. I ran into some good competition out there, and go in the bathroom, baby. And so while I was out there, that's where I was running into. I moved up to. I left Manitoba, I think, like 6-0, and then I came out here and started. I went from novice to open, and then I went to super heavyweight, which is out of your division. And I just started taking any fights, and then you just then become like a journeyman. You lose to the hometown guy, and just to get the crowd in. What's your role with those? And you know what? I met some cool guys that are journeymans like that. Like one of the guys I lost to in New York State, his career, Tafo was his name, and he fought all the hockey guys.
Really?
There was some good boxers in Quebec that would fight Joel Theriault, Dean Mayran. One of them comes to mind is Eric Martel Baholi. He became
Baho.
He's
Canadian
cool,
champ.
But I remember when we were in Quebec in the gym there sparring, I'd push him in the corner and make him slug it out. We used to have some good matches in Quebec City, and those are the years that I had met Bob Miller, and Bob Miller was the cut man, the corner man for Mike Tyson, and all those years that Mike Tyson was fighting in upstate New York and Adirondack. Yeah, I would often go. I would look around the hallways there and see all the Mike Tyson fights over the years. Yeah, man, he fought his first like 20 fights in Glens Falls Civic Center.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm. And then of course, yeah.
So this is perfect because one of the main talking points that I wanted to talk about was actually Adirondack, right? Because those are your first 2 years pro. Now I want to talk about these 2 seasons, bro, because pretty much you come out of junior and we're gonna touch up on junior. We're here now, so I'd like to talk about it.
Yeah.
You come into Adirondack, you right away establish that you're the guy. Okay. You have almost 300 penalty minutes both seasons. This is as a 20, 21, 22-year-old. To me, that it's incredibly impressive only because these are guys that are 30 years old, 35 years old, guys that have been doing it for 10 plus years. This 20-year-old Jason Bone from Winnipeg is coming in and establishing himself as the top guy. Now, you establish yourself as the top guy. So what I really want to talk about was the recruitment to, at the time, the Quebec Senior League, the LNAH. You are a guy, you've gained the reputation, legit heavyweight, Adirondack, back-to-back seasons. Now, this Hollywood for Tough Guys League, known as the Quebec Senior League, for money. Now you're getting recruited. How did it happen? Who recruited you, and how aggressive were they getting you?
I would say recruiting started one night with just a house party that the guys on the team, Trevor Sen, was one of my teammates back then. He was heavy, and Alex Johnstone, he from Nova Scotia, he fought a lot, and Frank Littlejohn. We had some tough guys down there, but we were partying. We heard some guys from Quebec were coming down, and that was, I believe, Jesse Rozanzov. I can't.
From the Chiefs?
Yeah, from the Chiefs. The Chiefs came down and
that guy.
And they told us, they're telling there was 2 of them were buddies, and we all partied. And Trevor Sen was worried all night we were gonna start scrapping, but they started telling us, like, look, this is where the money is, $1,000 plus a week. What are you making down here? And started doing the math in my head, and then Hugo Belanche was our captain, And he just basically says, I don't think you're going. Like you might as well just go where the money is. Like he didn't say I don't think you're going anywhere, not like that, but he just said like just go where the money is, the way you're doing it, and go back. Because I was intending to go to school. I was already moving along with undergraduate at the time and going to summer sessions to extended education. So I transferred to McGill and started going up there. Who brought me up was Ronnie Gascon from Verdun. He was the recruiter, and
Okay.
so yeah, Ronnie come and talked me into coming up to Quebec. He came watch my fights at the casino at upstate New York, and he says, "Look, the boys want you in Quebec. Come to Verdun." And so I ended up going to Verdun, and it was a nice setup. I had a place for a year. Got a little $1,000 car,
Yeah.
and I was set over there. And then I ran into my roommates at that period were Jason Clark and Jason Payne.
Painter and Clark,
yeah.
two guests on the Sheriff podcast. Please continue, brother.
Yeah, and then we had our French tough guys like Joel Terrio, who was one of the toughest guys I've ever met too.
Oh yeah, l'animal.
Yeah, and Steve Bosse was a rookie that year too, and we had worked a lot on his coming along, his strategy, and talk about going boxing. I remember Louis Bedard was there. I started boxing with Bob Miller had told me to go see Russ Amber if you want to make a decent run of it, and let's come back and try to make some money in the Indian casinos around here. And so that was the plan, and I was coming along, but I ran into Dan One Punch Tice and put those boxing dreams to rest, man. And he dropped me in the rematch. I because like first time we fought, I beat him, and I beat him nice and clean, nice and sound, and stopped him. And was coming along at that point. I remember I was gonna go back to. I was so out of it for that second fight against Tice. What I mean out of it, like unorganized. I was trying to get down to Toronto for my flight, and I was just gonna leave the car, and it was already coming apart. And I was, I got a buddy there. I'll leave it over there, and so I was gonna leave, and I was already on my way out the door. And remember, you must know Mike Marsden.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he was helping train me too, and he helped toughen me up a bit there for pro hockey too. And
right on.
Yeah, but anyways, I had got talked into going back or staying or going back for the fight, and ended up getting knocked out by Tice, and then flew home, and my dad was just so pissed off at me. He's like, "What are you doing? Like you're getting knocked out, your shoulders blown out." And but you know what? I ended up lingering on in that league, Southern Professional. But what I was doing in Southern Professional was the guys that brought me in Adirondack was they were great guys. Jeff Edwards would later become my agent in the process, and would sort of keep an eye on. I was getting good deals along the way, but the guys that got me there previous to that were Derek Fontaine, the late Derek Fontaine. He knew the guys out there, so I was going to go out there. Connor McKay was going to go out there, but he ended up going somewhere else. So I ended up out there with my friend Ryan Pearson, and so from there, just went up to Quebec, and well, yeah, no. Long story short, in a nutshell, that's for those two right hands back to back. I got knocked out in the spring and then later in the summer, but those guys that got me started in Adirondack later were the ones that brought me to Winston-Salem, and then it got me to Jacksonville, and then got my shoulder surgery done.
Oh wow!
So
right on.
So I just sort of stayed around in that sort of loop. Until I got the surgery, and then that was the end of that. But I ended up going to coming back, play some senior hockey around here, and I started going to River Cree Casino. So I was kind of not out of the loop. I just finished knocking out guys in the Chinook League, catching them, throwing around my uppercut, and knocking out oil riggers, and looking for trouble. And you know what? They were trying to bring out somebody to deal with me over there.
Really?
I was
You were terrorizing the league.
I was terrorizing the league, and I was trying to get on the River Creek Casino fight cards. He used to have MFC, which was a good organization, and I was trying to work my way up to that ladder and go. And I was gonna stay there in River Cree in Alberta too, and I was gonna work at the casino. I was gonna hang around there for a bit, but I ended up going back home and starting school and smartening up.
Yeah, buddy, I hear you. So Jay, I can't let you off that easily because, dude, that team in Verdun. Okay, I can't let you off that easily. We still got to talk about Verdun a little bit. The Verdun Dragons, 2003-2004 season. Okay, so now I appreciate you mentioning that was Steve Bosse's rookie season, because I did see his name there, and I was like, you know what? I know the story of Bosse, which maybe we can get into a little bit. You know, the story of Bosse that I heard was that the guy was like a lumberjack with his father, right? So he like cut wood with his father, and he was like so strong because of it. And his first training camp that he came to, I don't know what team it was, it possibly could have been Verdun, that he didn't even know which way he shot the puck. They just gave him a stick, and he went out there because he came there to fight, right? I don't know how true that is. Do you know anything about that?
That sounds like you're describing Jacques Dubé, actually.
Whoa, okay. Yeah.
Jacques Dubé was the one that I always get a kick out of, and
maybe I do have it mixed up.
No, I don't know. No. Bosse is sort of the same thing too. You know, just a real strong, tough guy, and when he came in, I remember he was willing to go anybody, but some of the seasoned guys were just they were holding him out and spinning him around, and so we started working on it after practice a lot, and working on some strategies, but also going to boxing too. He started boxing. Terrio was boxing too.
Oh yeah.
Clark was boxing too. Jason Clark was boxing. Yeah. Payne wasn't going anywhere near there though. Payne didn't want none of these. You can tell him I said that. I was love teasing Payne, but no, Payne's tough. We never crossed.
He's doing great now, with the coaching.
Yeah, I love
Cincinnati Cyclones.
I love seeing that. And I was teasing him. I said they should have made a poutine with your bobblehead. That's because they loved him in Quebec too. Like he was fast, he could throw him. You know what? Payne was sharp, man. Payne was the first guy that really started telling me like, hey, like I thought I was gonna go far with the fighting and just make the money but he said to me, you fight too wide open, you're gonna get caught. And I'm like, what's this guy know? What's this old guy know here? He's just here for the paycheck and get out of here. But that's my attitude then, because I was still at that point where I was out to prove I was the toughest guy around there, and that was a tough year, man. And we that was my first 40 fight season, 43 I think that year. Still wasn't.
Holy man.
Yeah, still wasn't. Yeah, it's only half of what you done.
No, but dude, that was a different era. The 2003, 2004. Okay, so this is this is what I want the listeners to kind of understand, Jason. And I'm glad that I got you here because you live this, you experience this. This was part of your life journey. Okay. Now, you know how now like there's so many leagues to go to in Europe, right? Like if you're a hockey player, you're in the coast, you don't think you're going to get called up to the American League. Maybe there's a deal that you get in Europe and you go for it. You're ready to see something different. At this time, there was no rules for who could play in the LNAH, aka the Quebec Senior League. They could recruit anyone from anyone. They could get a guy from China, they could get a guy from Vancouver. It didn't matter where the guys were coming from, right? So now, this league, I need people to understand, when they brought you to Verdun, which Verdun is pretty much like a suburb of Montreal, right, Jay? It's right there, right?
Downtown, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so they bring you to Montreal, the second biggest city in Canada. You're given, you mentioned, a 12-month lease, correct? You had an apartment for the entire season, right?
Yeah.
They give you a 12-month lease. They give you a car. They're paying you better than you would get paid if you played in the UHL, ECHL, most of the time AHL. You're getting paid better in this league. You're getting a car. You're getting an apartment. Do you know what that sounds like to me? Being a player that knows what's going on? That sounds like Europe. Because that's what they give you in Europe. They give you a car. They give you a place. You're an import. They want to take care of you. They cover all the necessities. And they give you a paycheck that is tax-free because the team pays the taxes. That's how it was in Quebec. The only difference is we were getting cash, brother. We were getting cash money. We were offered big amounts of money, Jason, to play. This league, as I quoted before, was like the Hollywood for tough guys. We were like, bro, I remember coming to that league and having a whole different outlook on life. The way that my life was going. Like, we were fighting every single weekend, 2 to 4 times, depending on how many games we were playing. Okay. The same guys, buckets off, center ice, maybe a general, maybe a brawl every other weekend. Who knows? Something crazy, fights with the fans, but we're getting paid and we're living like rock stars. I had Painter on the show. Right? I had these guys on the show, Marasti, Hansy. I try to get into it with them so that they can explain it because I love seeing the versions. But for you, was it a movie for you? Because that's how it was for me, Jay.
Well, yeah, like I think of like Quebec, and I always tell people it was a different place. I was even talking about it at lunch today. I had lunch at work in our lunchroom. I saw Breyer's ice cream. Michelle, I said, the owner of that team. I played for the owner of that team. Michelle Larondo, 2003, Verdun. The goons who got to go work in the back of the truck and deliver ice cream in the summer. That's what the guys were doing. And
really?
Yeah, they had all kinds of little perks to Quebec, and then I had likewise. I had a great time. From the Mohawks were some of the kindest people I've ever met in all my travels, and I still have many good friends there. And that community opened my eyes to to a cultural support in the businesses and the whole it's just a different world like you're saying, and even in Quebec City and. Yeah, it was, but to some people around here, like they don't believe like we're fighting on bike. I was the first fight on the biker shows when Dean Mayran was coming out on a big Hummer and smokes up, and they just put on these awesome boxing shows, and but yeah, I know that it certainly felt like I was on top of the world, in the fighting world, and I was going to make it somewhere in Quebec. But of course, just once you start getting knocked out, and you shoulder injuries, and you're just never the same after that. I could never capture that mojo from 23. It was just a little up and then down until I got the surgery, and that was it.
I hear you. So I want to add a little bit to those boxing galas, Jay, because I know the listeners are probably like, well, what do they keep talking about this boxing stuff? So now, not only were us as hockey enforcers, we were the highest paid guys on our teams. All the fighters were the highest paid guys on the teams. The highest scorers were right after, okay? Right after the fighters, they started being on the list, right? So we're the highest paid guys on our team. We're rock stars in the towns that we're playing for. The owners of our teams are treating us like little princes. We could do whatever we want. Like you said, there's all these little perks, little summer jobs available. They have us stick around, so on and so forth. Now, add to that a boxing gala. We would get approached by the promoters and say, we would like you to fight, and we want you to fight this guy. So what it would be, ladies and gentlemen, it would be about 10 boxing matches where about 5 of them would be pro versus pro, or very good amateur versus very good amateur. And then the other 5 would be a tough guy in the league fighting another well-known tough guy in the league. Now, of course, we had to get our boxing licenses because, Jay, I did this too. I did it for 2 summers, okay? I got my Quebec boxing license, or whatever it's called, right? I was so proud of it. I fought Chris Cloutier in my first one.
Oh, yeah.
And then I made the biggest mistake of my life and accepted to be in a main event for my second one against l'animal. Joel Ontario.
Oh, I'll tell you.
In St. George, when he played for St. George as the main event, his 1000th fight or whatever it was, my second. I didn't go down, but man, oh man, did he ever get me, man. Did he ever get me? I don't think I've ever been hit so many times in a span of 6 minutes or whatever it was. I lasted the 3 rounds, but man, bro, man, you're talking about Tice? Man, imagine Terrio in your second fight.
Yeah, no, like that's jumping off the deep end. Right away. You know what? I really enjoy watching these new spectacles. They whatever they want to call it, but Jake Paul is taking the world.
The celebrity boxing and stuff.
And when he was fighting the first fight where he sort of broke on the scene and was fighting Nate Robinson, and he had all these athletes boxing. I thought, hey man, that looks just like us in Quebec years back.
Just like us, yeah.
Right before social media, before we could do the call outs. I mean, imagine if there was a lot of that going on. Like when we would have made better use of it than this generation that has the social media now. I don't know, can't say it, but
I think
but
so.
There's, yeah, who knows? But yeah, it's so yourself, man. How's work and everything for you?
For me right now, everything's good, man. Like I'm blessed to be able to kind of embrace the whole, I guess, timing. When COVID started, how a lot of people kind of jumped on like the Zoom stuff, doing podcasts, doing home cooking shows, doing all this kind of stuff. And really, like, it kind of really worked out for me where a guy approached me. He was an old fan of mine that used to watch me, him and his dad, when I played in the AHL. They're from Philly when I played the Philly Phantoms. And he already had his own podcast. He asked me to be a guest, like how I asked you, right? And I mentioned on the show, you know what, I'm really interested in doing this myself. And I really like this. I'd like to be a sports broadcaster one day. So this would be the perfect thing to, get me set up in that direction, right? And then so he called me a couple days after we did the recording. And he's like, hey, about all that stuff you said, why don't we team up together? I'm the tech guy. I know how this works. I can get us on Spotify. And, you're the former player. You're the personality. Let's join forces and let's do this. So that's how the Sheriff podcast got started. Now I'm a solo act. But Kyle Warner was my co-host for almost about half a year. And then with family commitments, he just didn't have the time anymore, right? But yeah, I ran into some pretty good luck, bro. And like, just going back to these things, like when I tell people that I boxed in Quebec, right? They'll be like, okay, so what do you mean you boxed? And I'll be like, well, I got my boxing license because I was offered to fight, obviously for money. It was a guy that was playing against in my league, another known fighter. And that's what we did. We were in a boxing gala and they're like, yeah, right. I go, I swear, man, like this is like people don't get it. And this is the thing, Jay, like the province of Quebec, that province, if for MMA fighting, for boxing, for any type of combat sport, they're way ahead of the rest of the country. You know that by living there. More people like GSP, man, that guy's like bigger than Jesus Christ in Quebec, man.
Oh man,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what I remember? Like I remember that like when one of our owners later on was the Grant boxing gym ownership. The same crew, and to see the John Pascal coming to the games, and GSP was I don't know if he was at the games, but he was at the Cash of Sports after the games partying.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he was a fan of all kinds of fighting. Like he was such a, and this was before he was in UFC. We saw him at the Cash of Sports, and I was telling my friend he was a cop in here, go shake his head, go talk to him, see him, and this is before he got to UFC. But yeah, man, sorry to get off topic there. And
no, it's all that's great. That's beautiful.
Yeah, you know what? I do remember. I do remember when I years back, as I thought you had a gift for a knack for
not being able to shut up.
I know. Yeah, but you know what? I just thought you're gonna it's gonna happen for you at some point with and look at what's going on now here with the podcast. You know what? As I see how you're set up and everything you're doing, now I'm in the realm of teaching and looking at before I got on and I was checking some of the stuff like damn, he's pretty organized and all this stuff too. And this is the stuff that we have to be organized at work, but you got it down nice and good from I guess from the for a while. But yeah, no, Quebec, and I started. I did start embracing my own news article called Boneyard Sports here in Winnipeg, and that was my early years trying to do a bit of what you're doing because I too wanted to. I thought I'll do some. I could do a little of everything. I wanted to do some boxing. Announcing, that's reminded me of. I was joking around. I feel like a ring entrance there.
Yeah. Get guys fired up.
You do a good job at Hockey Enforcers. The third one at doing the introduction.
Ice Wars, yeah.
But when I was there too, it was a nice. They almost had it. They almost had some. They had a lot of big shows there. I remember that. And so yeah, no, just today I was talking about the Quebec days and I like the legacy that those movies like Chiefs left and Henderson and all those guys that drank all those beers with, and those are some of the best years and of my life, and those are I often say like they as you know too, like hockey gives you all the skills we're gonna need, for the workforce after, and I often see some of my other friends around town, some like Paul Dennis said, he's I played camps with him, and so it's good to see everybody. doing well, because I know, like we talked about before, there's some guys that aren't doing well with things and whatnot. And,
Mental health and concussions and
yeah,
all that stuff comes back to us, right?
and that topic that you brought up at the start, where where we were talking about that too. Like there was a point in my life where I was worried about that, but I got to tell you the truth too. Like I don't worry about it at all anymore. And what's been my solution to it, I suppose. I suppose years back, I was 34, 35. There's a point in my life where I was losing my mom, and was starting to feel helpless. And then we did lose her, and then the grief process of it. That's where.
Sorry to hear that, brother.
Yeah, no, thanks, bud. But that was the point where I offered my tobacco to put that loss in a healthy place in the Medellin Lodge. But since then, I began listening to the stories that are within the language, and you hear the thousands of years of cultural knowledge that are actually in the language, and right now, like Indigenous education is big in every university, but where my focus in it is with the language. So I'd be listening to these stories, and some of these stories are called Aadisookewin, and that means our sacred legends. And to me, being a writer, in my role in this is called Manitoba Beyond, like a writer for the storytellers. So I'm not a storyteller, but I'm a writer of it, and that's the guy I'm writing about right there, Sasquatch. I was just telling my dad at supper today. I'm doing a presentation tomorrow to some kids all over Manitoba that'll be joining us at this gathering. So we're going to share a little story about the Big Dipper, and the history of that, and at least what our stories say. But that's where I've gotten my zest for life, to get me up in the morning and to make sure that these stories are going to be there for my kids, and they're also going to be there for how they're there for myself now. Like when people they're like there's often a lot of there's the story of Indigenous people today, at least in Winnipeg, is often of the problems and all this and that, and there's a lot of stereotypes, but at the same time, there's a lot of things going on, and we don't get a lot of news for it. For example, like even just now with the Capion barracks that are going up, it's a big opportunity for urban development. Our neighbor to us, Saskatchewan, 30 years ahead of us, and all small businesses benefit from it and whatnot. But yeah, so there's Winnipeg is a politically charged city. That's where I live, and I'm working on these stories. We're working on putting them into hopefully virtual reality, so that you can see.
Really?
Yeah. So we're hoping to just get your phone. You can download like the QR code, and
Wow.
you could be in a lodge. The only thing that's going to be lacking is some of the scents. Some of the smells that you'd hear. But you know what? We're in a new age, and you know what? I say my job now. Long time ago, my job would have been to write on the rocks, perhaps maybe with some of the red paint and Ona Min. But all we're doing from then is writing on cave walls to Facebook walls, and it's a different way of recording our stories. But that's what keeps me healthy. It's not fish oil supplements, or it's not marijuana. It's not magic mushrooms. It's not nothing of that. It's just learning my language again too, and freshening up the brain. So
that's a beautiful thing, dude. Jason, I want to let the listeners know about 5 years ago, when you successfully defended your Master of Arts thesis at the University of Manitoba. And I want, again, tell me how I do with this pronunciation. It was entitled Baagak Aadisookewin, Legends of History and Memory. How was that such an honor for you? Like that's so cool, bro. Like I asked my mom about that. I'm like, Mom, like what? Like what kind of people do this? She's like, well, a couple of your aunts and uncles, Sean, that are really well educated, they've done that. Your cousin Thomas, he's defended his thesis. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Tell me about that day.
Well, thanks there, Sean, for doing the research into that. And, but like that's being a hockey player is giving me the same practice to apply to school. And I thanks for calling me an academic heavyweight because I'm trying to be I guess more than I was when I played hockey. I joke around once in a while. I say I'm the Gretzky of academics now. We just joke.
Why not?
But but data studies is a different field, and it's giving me the freedom to explore my language and to record history and work at these things. And Baagak Aadisookewin is my favorite story in probably the whole world. And Sasquatch is up there too, and all these stories and how I'm drafting pictures. I'm working on putting it into a book now, and so these are the stories that you want your children to know and hear and to Mississauga, for example. What does that word mean? Like it's a word describing a big long river or a big long lake. Mississauga, like Mississippi River, big long river. Manitoba, it talks about where the spirit sits, and that's a story about a boy who was taken to the star world and taught, and there's a series of stories. And I was just saying to my dad today that I don't know, since 2014, 15, when I graduated, I've been working at it as the same work ethic that I put in hockey. I'm up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, doing my readings. Got my books here. I got everything. Got my bibliography. I wake up and my quiet time is I work, I read, I write, and then my work day is done. By the time the kids are getting up, lots of times, and in the writing sense, back when I was doing the writing, and right now, I'm still doing the writing. I'm a PhD candidate, and I'm part of a very small percentage of students that are also have an Indigenous academic advisor. So and that gives me an advantage in many regards because he knows the stories that I'm talking about, and he also knows the barriers that we face as in university as well, and just generally with things and where the strengths lie too, and to sharpen the strengths because he's had my academic advisor he writes for the newspaper here, and I was joking about trying to be an academic heavyweight because we have a whole bunch of them in our city who write for the paper and do the news and do a good job of bringing the issues up. But my field is education, and right now it's focusing on publishing books. I'm working on the best story I've ever heard. I'm telling you, it's called the Human Creation Story, and talks about how we all come from one common source years ago, and that's the story that's been safely kept on this side of the world. And of
Really?
course, yeah, and you know what? I'm excited to see where it goes because I have a good team. I was telling my dad today, it's like I can't like I says we're the work that we're doing now. Like Baagak was a great story, but these ones now are getting to the real depth of indigenous literature, stories, and more or less being the deep currents in the Mississippi River, more or less, and the big long river. So it's a study of words, you know. Winnipeg, when we in the bay like dirty water, Winnipeg boom. So we're talking about a dirty river. That's where
Wow.
Winnipeg is, yeah, and where the spirit sits, Winnipeg, Manitoba. So that's a little bit about my work, and for those of you that are listening on Spotify, wherever you are in the world.
Right on, man. No, and thanks for sharing that because it's so important, Jay, at the end of the day. And I love hearing about guys that have good stuff going on, man. It's incredible. So now I wanted to touch up on the youth mentoring that you do and just to lighten things up a little bit. So sometimes when us hosts do our research, we'll be researching like a website, but it may not be completely current. It may be like 4 or 5 years old, right? Like the article. So I read that you were a brown belt. So you have graduated to a black belt? Is that what's
Black belt
happening,
now,
Jason?
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
this is my little girl.
Hello.
Yeah, I was a brown belt for 4 or 5 years. I've just been at the gym, mopping the mat, getting it ready, having our classes every every Monday, Wednesday, the kids classes, and we did that for a good 8 years. We built up a jiu-jitsu program, and you know, I was looking at pictures today at how many kids we had. We had gyms full, and I met some of the best friends I've made in life, you know, through jiu-jitsu lately. And so the last 10 years of my life, jiu-jitsu have been really really good. And well, these two are my children, and
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
So
Hey guys, hey,
they're
your dad is one cool dude, man. I've known him for a long time, and he's the coolest dude I know.
he's gonna watch the show eventually. He'll listen to it. Hey, take her
Right
out of
on.
here, okay? This let that finish.
Hey, so Jay, so now your wife,
Mm-hmm.
she's also high-ranked martial artist, right?
Not really. She runs, and you know what? She does have her master's degree too. We did this journey academically together. We both had English studies degrees. We both met through the university, more or less through a teacher says one of my favorite teachers asked me if I knew so and so, and she was a couple years ahead of me in school, and ended up meeting her eventually, and we've been. That's what I joke about ever since I clubbed her over the head and dragged her back to the cave. she, she came to the boxing gym, and we've been together since. We had a
There
party
you
there.
go. The rest is history, right? That's awesome, man. Jay, I know we've gone over the limit, man, but you got to forgive me because, dude,
Don't
you're
worry.
such an interesting guy, man. I'm so happy that I was able to catch you, man. Like when we got a hold of you and you agreed to do the show, I'm like, yes, because my favorite guests are the guys that are close to my age. You know what I mean? We're only a couple years apart, bro. We went through so many things together, the different experiences that we had, playing in like some of the same leagues. Man, it was so cool hearing your insight, bro. We appreciate it so much, man. And like it's just another cool thing, Jay, is just to talk to a hockey player that got so well educated, buddy. Especially after, like, you started it when you were still playing, you finished it when you were done. And that's a beautiful thing, brother. And I want to congratulate you again. You're such a good role model for all players, for anyone in general. And it's a great thing that you came on, bro.
I appreciate it, Sean, and I'm very happy for what you're doing as well. And I wish you luck in the future. And we'll have to catch up in the real world when I get down that way.
For sure, buddy. And hey, man, if they do want some guys that might be able to do some color commenting in Edmonton for the Ice Wars, bud, would you be interested in doing some non-fighting
Oh
roles
yeah,
for the Ice Wars?
no, I want to drive out there and go watch it for sure, man.
Oh yeah, right on, bro. Right on. Well, I don't know the exact date, but I know it's like mid-May that it's being held. Originally, it was going to be April, and they pushed it back because I think it was like it fell like on Mother's Day or something, like the event. So they pushed it back, or Easter weekend. So they pushed it back and to May. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. Ice Wars. You know, Charlie Nama, AJ Galante. It's going to be a really big deal.
I'm out of the loop, man. I'm out of the loop.
Well, it's only because it's just getting traction.
Yeah.
It's just getting traction.
Who's the new line of fighters? Parker will probably go in there for the third
Parker
time.
will definitely be in it. Can you believe that he's fighting every weekend right now? Can you believe it? It's crazy, eh? It's incredible. I'm the same age as Parks, man. I can't believe what he's doing. The guy's a warrior. I got to give him the credit.
So, what year were you born? 83?
I'm an 82.
82? Okay, I was 20 in Sudbury for 7 games. Where were you at that time?
I was in Sarnia and Kitchener that year. I was looking up that year, just real quick, Jason, because this was another talking point. But like I said, we had so many things to get to. So now that team in Sudbury, let me name some of the guys that you played with. Kit Brennan, Josh Gratton, Dennis Weidman, Fedor Fedorov, Adam Keefe, Chris Kelly. Those guys are all NHL guys, man, that played on that team in Sudbury. Was Bert Templeton the coach?
Yes, yeah. No.
Wow, legendary Bert Templeton.
You know how Bert came into the story was I was more or less trying to fight my way out of MJHL at that point, and I wanted to go to. I was training with Bob Russell at the World Hockey Training Institute at that time, where Max Spearbrier, and I went down there that one summer. That helped me make the jump to WHL. Anyways, sorry, Sean, what was the question again? I got off track.
No, I was saying like Bert Templeton.
Oh yeah, Bert, yeah.
What was it like playing for such a legend?
Oh yeah, he definitely had an eye for details, and he was a different coach. He'd come check on me at the house where I was doing at 3 in the afternoon.
Really?
How are you living and things like that. But I thought he was different because he was at the camps watching us train in the summers, and the time that how I got to Sudbury was I went to Newmarket camp, Newmarket Hurricanes camp. I fought 5 times that day, and everybody that was tough, I said land them up, and so I had 5 fights that first day, and that helped. That was a turning point in my because I started getting some traction. I was trying to get to. I was there training, and then Bob Russell said, "Don Cherry's my friend. He coaches Mississauga Ice Dogs." So I was trying to get myself from the Manitoba Junior League to Toronto to Ice Dogs, and I wanted my dad. Mom and Dad would just love Don Cherry and want me to go and take a shot at being a goon for his team. But Bert Templeton was watching those camps in the summer, and he brought me down to camp. And, he started putting pressure for me to come back, and then that got me into camps in the WHL. So yeah, man, I was at that period. My dad was trying to get me to go play college in Newmarket, to go play summer in university. But so I did all this fighting in camp there in Newmarket, and caught Bert Templeton's eye, and he brought me down that time. You know what? Like you said, I wish I could have put a better foot forward for Bert. I felt like I was just getting into my groove. I was we weren't taking the gloves and helmet off, making a big show of it too much. There was a little bit of quick starting here and there, and always feel like I need a few fights to get the rust off and get
Yeah.
in the groove. And I just, anyways, I was coming along, I suppose. But Kip Brennan got sent down, and then that was the end of that run. And then I went back to university. At that point, at that point, I didn't think I was going to play any more hockey. Uh, and that's when I got the call to go to Adirondack, yeah, out of the blue. And so, yeah, I know, but that was, I fought a few guys in the OHL, but I didn't get any momentum at that period. And just, yeah, Bert wasn't impressed with me. I didn't, Bert was a legend, man. He he made Fedorov a good player. It was one of the,
Yeah.
he was. I remember he sent a player home for breaking curfew. He didn't mess
Yeah.
around. He didn't mess around. And,
Old school.
and yeah, I liked his style. Like everybody was scared of Bert.
Just so the listeners know, Sergei Fedorov's younger brother's name's Fedor Fedorov. Now this guy played. Obviously he was in Sudbury. He was also in Windsor, maybe another team too. But this guy he was like Sergei Fedorov and Eric Lindros had a kid. But the guy had size. He was pretty tough. He could stick handle like his brother. Maybe he didn't have the speed, but like he had I don't know what happened to him, but I thought he was going to be a star.
Just yeah, he was a cool guy too, man.
Was he?
He was, well, at least from what I remember him from, and he had the best stories. He had a flashy style. He knew he was going to be. He carried himself like a star back then, and I guess those are big shoes to fill, Ace.
Yeah.
And I thought he did.
AJ, the last thing I wanted to ask you about was the opportunity that you had with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. Okay, now did you play preseason for them? Because I know you fought Derek Englund.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play? Was that in an AHL preseason game?
Yeah,
or was it in training camp?
No, that was preseason games.
Awesome.
They told
Tell
us,
me about that fight, bro.
Okay. You know what? That came about right after Ice Battle of Hockey Enforcers in Prince George. I fought Mike Scroy in that first tournament.
The real deal.
Yeah, and he was on the roster, I believe, for Wilkes-Barre, and so they gave me a tryout as well. So yeah, and
okay.
But you know what? The guys in Quebec were connected to the coach Michel Terrien before he went to the NHL. And you know what? I think that was the year they had some sort of crazy record, like 30-0 for a while. But anyways, I got to camp and I saw all these guys. I was like, how the hell am I going to make this team? I was like, Dennis Bondy's here, and David Cochie's here.
Coachie was there too?
Oh yeah, and I was like, man, I don't want to go near that guy. He's like fucking tough. but no, I went to camp there, and then I fought there. They just said no fighting in camp, save it for preseason, you'll get a shot. And so
they didn't want you guys to kill each other before the preseason.
And so there was a lot of fighters in camp. There was Connor McKay was there too.
Holy!
So he's a good face-off, and he's a good player.
So there was 3 or 4 legit guys though in camp for Wilkes-Barre.
I think there was. Yeah, I think I recall 1 or 2 more. But anyways, we went to Hershey, and I remember Robin Gomez is who I wanted to fight. I had fought him in Calgary years back, and I went to high school with him. I didn't like him, so I wanted to get him again. And but anyways, I line up my first shift, and I hear someone in the blue line calling me on. That was Derek Eglin back then.
He called you on?
Yeah, he's calling me on when I got on. So we went, and then later that game, I fought Jeff State, and then I fought him again. So I fought every period. But I figured, like, the only way I was gonna make the team was just fight on, obviously. What other way was I gonna make it? But I broke my my knuckle in the fight.
Did you?
First game, yeah. In the last fight. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a great experience that you had, man. I mean, Wilkes-Barre is one of those AHL teams that, like, I mean, with the arena, the fan base, like, it's kind of like an NHL/AHL experience, like, just with how professional.
The best part about it, and that's probably one of my best hockey stories, was to share the training room with Mario Lemieux.
What?
When I broke my hand at camp there, Mario, the Penguins had the camp at the same time. So we were watching Crosby and Lemieux, and that was the first year that they were together, and they even sat beside each other in the dressing room. They had about 6 dressing rooms of players, so that was the one of the cooler things to watch Crosby and Lemieux, and then I went and got my hand checked out, and Mario was getting the ultrasound.
Was getting treatment?
Yeah, he was getting ultrasound on his groin, and I was just looking over at while they were checking out my hand, and Doc says, "Yeah, broke," and so. Yeah, but that's Mario. Mario saw me, and back in before he bought the team.
6'6", Mario Lemieux,
right? Before he bought the whole team.
Yeah, man. I remember the first time I met Mario Lemieux. I was starstruck. It was at a Sabres Penguins game. I was playing in Rochester, and a couple of us went to the game. And Mario has this thing that he just never played in Buffalo. He always got the night off. So he was a healthy scratch, and one of my teammates who was from Montreal introduced us to him. And man, his hands were so big, and he's 6'6", just towering over us. It was pretty cool, man. Yeah.
You know what? There's one game I wish I would have been. We just missed. I think we got there on a Sunday, and I found the programs from the night before when Muhammad Ali dropped the puck.
No way.
Yeah.
The greatest of all time.
Yeah, and that was like the end of his public appearances too.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing anything. Yeah, he wasn't doing anything after that. And so, man, I just missed that. I was pissed off. I would have bumped Hugo Boulanger out of the face-off circle and take that.
Yeah, dude, no, that's awesome, bro. I had to ask you about Wilkes-Barre because I did see that in there when I was doing the research, and I'm like, wow, this guy got to play at Wilkes-Barre. That's pretty cool, man. The very, very historical American Hockey League team, the affiliate of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then getting to see the captain/owner, Super Mario, getting treatment, and that's priceless, man. I can't believe it. That's a really cool story, man. Thanks for sharing that one, buddy. Yeah, dude, I had a lot of fun, Jay. I hope you did too, bro. I'm so glad we reconnected. I do have your number now, man. So you're stuck with me now, bro. You're in for it now, man. But yeah, man, if we can meet up, if we could meet up in a couple months in Edmonton, man, that would be really cool to see you again, buddy. What was it? So that was what, 2011, the last time we seen each other?
Yeah.
So that was 10 years ago, bro. It'd be great to reunite. I really appreciate you coming on. I know the listeners just absolutely love it. I learned a lot today. Obviously, you're a teacher, you're an instructor. So obviously that's natural. But I did learn a lot from you in my episode. So I appreciate that too, my man.
Thanks for having me on. It's always good to get in touch with, like you said, old friends and reach out to who all the listeners are. And
yes.
So let's keep in touch, bud.
Yes, absolutely. So I'd like to thank the listeners for tuning in to another episode of The Sheriff featuring special guest Jason Bone. I had a great time, guys. I hope you did too. We'll see you next time. Woo!